तो फिर जब हम लोग ये करेंगे, मेरे ख्याल से स्टूडेंट्स ज्वाइन होना स्टार्ट हो गए हैं।
हाँ
हाँ, अनम ज्वाइन हुई है मेरे ख्याल से थर्ड ईयर। सो अगर आप शेयर कर रहे हो तो इट विल लुक बेटर ना सर। एंड व्हेन सर विल स्टार्ट वी विल स्टॉप दैट शेयरिंग। रोशन सर विल स्टार्ट देन।
हाँ, एक्चुअली शायद वहाँ पे हाँ, वी आर ऑन द लाइव, वी आर ऑन लाइव।
ओके। स्टूडेंट्स आर स्टिल ज्वाइनिंग।
अभी इसमें अभी इसमें 20 स्टूडेंट्स दिख रहा है
हम्म।
यूट्यूब पे।
ओके, राइट नाउ इट इज 4 ना। ओके, वी कैन वेट फॉर 5 minutes। कटियार सर,
हम्म।
ये फुल स्क्रीन कीजिए ना।
फिर हम
हाँ,
मैडम ये
दिस
सारी
इज गुड नाउ।
पीपीटी तो मैडम
हाँ।
बेटर बेटर वी कैन चैट ऑन मैसेज और
मैं व्हाट्सएप मैसेज।
अरे
व्हाट मैसेज?
यार
Messages, they are sending good evening.
Ma'am, right now you are there live, no? So better you'll whatever the messages you want to share, you share just on the WhatsApp. Ma'am, students are still joining.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So can we start? It's total 55 students currently they are joined and continuously they are joining.
Okay, wait for 2-3 minutes and then we'll start it. Yes, ma'am, we can start it right now. It's almost 4:10.
Okay, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Just close that screen, whatever right now is like, close that screen and we can start. Vijay sir is there live?
No, Vijay sir is not there.
Yeah, he's there. You can start.
Okay. Good afternoon to all. Adarsh Shikshan Mandal's Ideal College of Pharmacy and Research welcome you all to this national level webinar on Future of Global Pharma Industry. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Shubhangi Shirsagar. Myself and Mr. Katiyar sir are the event coordinator for today's program. With this opening note, on behalf of Adarsh Shikshan Mandal's Ideal College of Pharmacy and Research, I welcome Dr. Roshan Paliwar sir, CEO of Docrosh Global Solution, our eminent speaker for today's program. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. A very warm welcome to our Joint Secretary of Adarsh Shikshan Mandal, Shri Vijay Upadhyay, sir. Welcome, sir. I now
Thank you, ma'am.
welcome our
Thank you very much.
principal. Yes, sir. I now welcome our principal, Ideal College of Pharmacy and Research, Dr. Smita Takarkhade, ma'am. Welcome, ma'am. I would now request Sri Vijay Upadhyay, sir, to speak few words to us.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Shubhangi, ma'am.
Yes.
First of all, very good evening to all our participants and our main speaker for today, Dr. Roshan Palevar, sir. I, on behalf of Adarsh Shikshan Mandal, would like to thank all the participants as well as all my patrons and my assistant professors for organizing these kind of. I think this is our second or third webinar as of right from last 2 months to one and a half month. Uh, I strongly feel that these kind of webinar being conducted, it really helps the students, like the experts from various department and various industries. They come, they share their experience, they get our students acknowledged with the current scenario of the industry, pharmaceutical industry. It really helps the students to get their career proper way in a proper direction with the proper assistance and proper directions helps them to enhance their career. And even nowadays what we see is most of the students are, even after completion of their education, they are not exactly clear what and where should they go, what to do. So
Right.
experts like Dr. Roshan sir, in their kind guidance, in their enlightenment of the student will definitely be um, helped out. uh, Definitely students will be helped by these kind of webinars. So I also thank Dr. Smita Takarkede, Shubhangi ma'am, and Prashant Khatiyar sir for taking this initiative, for organizing this webinar. And I personally thank Dr. Yoshin Palevar sir for giving us a privilege to make you as an expert speaker for today's session and help us to even us as well as our students, they'll be definitely be benefited by your special guidance, by your special words, so that students will be able to finalize and they'll be guided for their coming future. Like when I came to know that today's topic is future of global pharma industry, looking to the current scenario, we all know pharma industry is not going to
Right.
end up. It is definitely going to survive for year and years of to come. But still, we need to understand what latest things are going on in the industry, what all things are needed for our students when in future when they'll enter in this industry, what all things are needed and how this industry is growing and in which direction this industry is going. All these will be definitely be shared by Dr. Roshan sir. So I once again thank you, Dr. Roshan sir, to be our kind speaker, main speaker for today for this special webinar for our students. And as I have been informed that not only students, even some people from pharma sectors are joining these event. And this event is, I suppose, is live on YouTube, wherein we are allowing each and everyone who is interested, they can join this session. And I would appreciate that our people, they have definitely, as per my information, this webinar's information has been spread to all of them, and I suppose that all will take the maximum of opportunity and will take the maximum help of this webinar, and it will help out to flourish their future. So finally, I won't take much of the time because I know people have joined here to hear Dr. Roshan sir. Thank you, all of you, for allowing me to be one of a host and participant of this webinar. Thank you very much to once again to Dr. Smita Takarkede ma'am, Dr. Prashant sir, Shubhangi ma'am, and last but not the least, Dr. Roshan sir. Thank you very much for joining this webinar and helping us to and helping our students to guide for their coming future. Thank you very much, and all the best for today's session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Shubhangi, ma'am, shall we start or?
Shubhangi ma'am, over to you. I think Shubhangi ma'am is facing some technical problems, and I hope that she'll be joining very soon again to us. So, Prashant sir, meanwhile,
Yes, sir. Uh, just a minute, sir. I'm calling to Swangi ma'am. She's there.
So as she joins in meanwhile, maybe I would like to, I mean, to be honest, it's great privilege to be a part of today's wonderful session. And thank you so much for inviting me for today's wonderful conference and webinar. Thank you so much, Vijay Upadhyay sir, for giving the overview as an introduction, and special thanks to Dr. Smita, who is the principal of the college. She has invited me, and we have a very strong network and bonding since many years. And special thanks again once again to Shubhangi ma'am as well as Prashant Katia sir for coordinating in terms of having this particular event. It takes great privilege to be part of today's event organized by Ideal College of Pharmacy. And what I see that under the leadership of Dr. Smita Takarkedi ma'am, there is a great future of the college as well as the great future of the students because they are getting nurtured under the steer leadership of Dr. Smita and the entire faculty of Ideal College of Pharmacy. So it's a really wonderful privilege. And what I see is that if today's generation, those especially pursuing the graduation and post-graduation or even the PhDs, they're actually the future of our pharma industry altogether. What we're going to see is that the future lies on the shoulder of this young talent who are going to shape the nation in absolutely manifest and great way. So I'm sure during this presentation, as in a few moments from now, we're going to start. Um, there are going to be a lot of questions. I'm expecting that because the young talent has many curiosity to know what is happening beyond 2020. Where is our future? What is going to happen in the pharma industry? How we can overcome from this COVID-19 pandemic and many other futuristic career-oriented questions. So we will going to address that. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry
Yeah,
for
over
the
to you, Pranjal.
interruption. It is raining too heavily here, and maybe that is the reason I lost the signal. I'm very
That's
sorry.
okay.
Yeah. I'm very thankful to Vijay sir for gracing this event with his presence and thoughts. Thank you, sir. This
Thank
event
you.
has been arranged by Career Guidance Cell of ICPR. Purpose is to present current topic future of global pharma industry to the students so that they can understand generic market, future trend, area of skill development, what are the industrial opportunity for the students and many more things. We at Ideal College of Pharmacy and Research hope that after completion of this webinar, student will be enlightened towards correct options for pharma industry. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into question box in live chat YouTube control panel. I will bring up these questions during the presentation, and we will also have time for questions at the end. With this, I take pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Roshan Paliwar sir.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Dr. Roshan Paliwar sir is entrepreneur, global pharma leader, advisor, mentor, researcher, formulator, doctor, physiologist, international speaker, and an avid pharmaceutical professional with more than 15 years of rich global experience. Dr. Roshan is CEO of DocRoche Global Solution. He has proven DocRoche to be an India's first integrated healthcare platform technology with his shared experience in the pharma sector. His desire for learning is unparalleled and holds MS Pharmaceutics, MD Alternative Medicine, PhD Psychology, and many more. Before Doc Roche, he has worked with companies like Merck, Novartis, Sandoz, Vocard, Dr. Reddy's at various levels in research and development, program management, and project management functions. To his credit, he has successfully developed more than 400 products and launched many pharmaceutical products across US, Europe. He has been a recipient of several national and international prestigious awards, most notably Pharma Ratna Award, 100 Most Impactful Healthcare Leaders Global Listing, the Top Pharma Innovation Award, Healthcare Leadership Award, India Leadership Brilliance Award, Best Healthcare Award, and honored by Health Ministry for his extraordinary contribution in pharmaceutical industry. Due to his diversified profile, he is part of Executive Council at Institution Innovation Council of MHRD, Executive Council and Medical Committee of IDMA, Indian Drug Manufacturers Association. He is also an editorial board of four international journals of medical and pharma. Dr. Roshan has been invited as chief guest, keynote speaker, panelist at various global conferences in Portugal, New Zealand, London, UK, Italy, Turkey, US, Japan, and many more. Uh, even I'll state the sir's passion. Dr. Roshan's passion has also always been to help patient live a happier and healthier life. And as a social responsibility, he had more than 21,000 aspirant guided, mentored, and placed across the country. With this short introduction, I would like that the session should start. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Shubhangi ma'am, for really wonderful remarks and giving the background about me. I'm really privileged for that. I can say in a very single line, I am a scientist by instinct and a learner for lifelong, and that's what I keep learning uh, every day from everyone who comes across in my close proximity. So it's a great privilege for that. I take further opportunity to thank you entire staff of Ideal College of Pharmacy for having me today for this interactive webinar. And I'm sure from today's session we're going to learn many things, especially from the Indian pharmaceutical perspective, global perspective as well as the Indian perspective, and what all uh, future opportunities are lying over there in terms of career orientation, as well as what are the future advancement with respect to technology and how the entire pharma is gearing up to tackle the future challenges, including the COVID-19 pandemic. So with that note, I would like to start my talk. Let me share this presentation with you.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir.
Yeah. I hope this screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Uh, so I welcome all the participants, all the dignitaries, and uh, entire experts from the industry for today's interactive session, which is a future of global pharma industry. Can you hear me? Hello?
Hello. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are listening you.
Okay, great. I was not able to get those sense, so right.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. So, in today's presentation, in association with Docrush Global Solution and Docrush Health, I would like to present an overview on the pharma industry. And in today's presentation, we're going to touch upon the global pharma industry landscape in terms of how the global industry is all about, in terms of development, the size, and the future opportunities within it, as well as we're going to touch upon the Indian pharma industry, which we belong to, and their landscape, covering the generic market segments and what are the different advancement with respect to the future trends, opportunities, as well as which are those companies who are really performing well on the ranking, which are those Indian companies who are making a greater development in the sector altogether. And of course, we're going to have an open Q&A session at the end of the presentation. Right. Since but it's always better to touch upon the base first and then we move on to the further ladder, right? So, from the layman perspective, what we see as a pharma industry, in nutshell, is actually responsible for the development of molecules, development of products, and then, of course, the manufacturing, production, and ultimately marketing of these medications or the finished products in the respective market, as far as their marketing plans are concerned, right? Similarly, the pharmaceutical companies are dealing in many areas, and if I wanted to make it very clear, these are companies who are dealing with the generic formulations, some are dealing with the branded formulation and medications, and of course the medical devices, which are altogether a standalone, a vertical, having a lot of technological devices in the medical segment, right? And all this, whether it's a formulation or devices, right, these all the products are subject to variety of rules and regulation and laws governed by the respective authority. And of course, these are main, under the scrutinization of the patenting, testing, safety, efficacy, and marketing of the drugs. And therefore, as the entire formulation, the medication which goes to the patient after the scrutinization from the various regulatory authorities, it's therefore important to the entire global sector because it's evident. And therefore, all the processes, all the guidelines, and all the research has a certain guidance and precedence to perform in the align and comply with the regulatory norms, right? And now I'm sure most of you have already visited the pharmaceutical industry, and some might be planning to visit. But since we are in the pandemic situation, I would like to take this opportunity and wanted to showcase you a very small pharma industry overview in terms of how exactly the industry is that. So I have a very small clip for it. Let's see to it.
If you're like the majority of people, there is a good chance that you have never been inside a pharmaceutical factory. Most of us only know tablets, injections, and ointments from the pharmacy. We now present you with the rare opportunity to retrace your medicine's route from the preparation of basic materials through the manufacturing process to final packaging. Pharmaceutical manufacturing is one of the most meticulously designed and controlled production processes. The rigorous planning, sterile environment, state-of-the-art equipment, multiple control procedures, high efficiency, environment-friendly methods, strict regulations, and full-scale quality assurance all serve the overall objective, namely to supply the public with a product involving no compromises.
Here at the tableting plant, 4 types of control procedures supervise the manufacturing process. We're talking about human lives, diseases. Production control has to be strict. Quality depends on both man and machine. At ICTA, with modern equipment at our disposal and strict control procedures in place, errors are eradicated.
Aseptic means the total elimination of potential sources of infection. My task is to ensure that this is a thorough process. It includes several sets of protective clothing for the employees and a contamination-free environment with a plate count close to 0 in the production area.
Richter is one of those pharmaceutical companies where no major quality complaints are reported, since complex internal control processes ensure that production faults are avoided.
I am happy to be part of the drug manufacturing process, which eventually helps patients to get better.
Right. So as we certainly saw that in the manufacturing setup, when it comes to various operations, there are actually many unit operations within the pharmaceutical manufacturing setup, right? If you're talking about the tablet manufacturing or capsule manufacturing, it altogether has a different unit operations, including tableting, compressions, dispensing areas, coating area, packaging, and so many other things, right? And similarly, the pharma industry deals in manufacturing of every single dosage form, depend upon the company to company. Some might be dealing into the oral solid manufacturing like tablet capsules. Some might be doing what you call the oral liquid formulations like a syrup, suspension, dispersion, and so on. And some might be doing the what do you call the topical formulations like cream, ointment, gel, lotion, and so many other formulations. And of course, the parental and ophthalmic formulations are part of the very much part of the manufacturing industry, right? And as you might know, these are the operations where every single operation aligns together, and then they ultimately make the product which goes to the market, right? Now, I would like to take you to the global perspective in terms of how the industry size, how exactly it has been performing in the market, and what can be the future further, right? Believe me, friends, the entire global pharma industry worldwide, the market size is more than 1 trillion US dollar. And that's the greatest potential of the pharma industry as of today. If you look into this graph, if in the 2001, where it was standing at $390 billion, and as moving on further, it ramped up and moved and crossed 1 trillion US dollar, which is itself is a great achievement as an industry. And let me tell you, this is the only pharma industry, irrespective of the external challenges and what you call the environmental conditions. This is the only industry, whether it's a pandemic, whether it's a crisis, this is the only sector which is surviving steadily and growing irrespective of the any challenges. That is what the potential the industry is carrying it, you know. And if I talk about the Indian pharma industry altogether, this is even much more interesting. And being part of the pharma industry, and of course you are going to be part of the industry very soon, you will see that this is where the entire your career is secured and your future is bright. Now, if of course, as we talk about the Indian pharma industry, let me tell you, friends, the industry, Indian pharma industry, is all about the $55 billion US dollar size. That's what the revenue is being generated so far. And if you look into 2005, it was standing at just $6 billion. Gradually, it moved to 2015 to $30 billion, and as of now in 2020, it's already crossed $55 billion. That's the potential, and it's rapidly at the CAGR of 15.92. It's growing, and that indicates how strong presence of Indian pharma industry altogether. Okay, now you'll be even surprised and feel very honored and privileged and feel great to know that our Indian pharma industry standing top three in the entire global pharmaceutical market by incremental growth, right? And the sixth largest global market in absolute size. That's the potential. Now you will be, very surprised how it is happening, and let me tell you, the entire world is looking at Indian pharma sector now, because there are many reasons behind it. But if I talk about very top liner, then India has the capacity and capability which can, capture and supply the medicines across the world of high quality and high efficiency. Of course, the major reasons like the cost of production and the resources cost, or let's say, what do you call, the labor cost is absolutely cheap in India. And we have very talented resources available, which provides the, what do you call, the quality products, right? And if you compare US, Europe versus India, then the cost of production in US is and almost half that of the Europe. So uh, therefore the Indian market is very susceptible, very potential, and therefore the all foreign investments is happening in this particular sector. Now that's one side of it. Now if I wanted to further, distinguish and wanted to give the segmentation of the Indian pharma industry, as I told you about the generic and other segment. So let me tell you, the entire industry, Indian pharma industry, 70% of the market have been capitalized by the generic drugs, and therefore it rules the market completely. Okay. And yeah, altogether, OTC formulations are concerned. OTC are those like over-the-counter, formulations available without even prescription, which captures around 21% in the Indian market, and rest 9% are the patented and branded formulation, which covers the segment. Right now, you are going to be even surprised to know the Indian company, the Indian pharma company, are supplying almost 60 to 65% of US generic market demand, right? And similarly to Europe as well. And therefore, the entire US and Europe is kind of dependent of the Indian pharmaceuticals with respect to APIs, with respect to finished formulations, with respect to generic formulation, in terms of the supplies in the market continuously. And that's one side of it. The importance which we gather during this COVID-19 pandemic, as everyone, the whole world is suffering, despite these odds, the entire world is much more reliant on the formulations in the pharmaceutical, industry, in terms of molecules, in terms of the kind of drug for the treatment of this COVID-19, right? And on the other side, I'm just giving a different perspective, where the source of origin of this corona was from the China. And let me tell you, most of the pharmaceutical companies are made their plan to shift from China to India, and therefore a lot of investment is happening currently. What this all indicate to you, my objective, my purpose to highlight this about that, there is a great potential in the Indian market. You have the bright future, because plenty of opportunities are going to pour in many ways, in many segment, I can say that. And therefore, as an individual, as an, those who are pursuing the course, should also geared up with the latest development and happening in the pharma sector. Right. I hope all of you are with me till this moment, right?
Yes,
Now,
sir.
I wanted to, surprise you with the fact that when it comes to the manufacturing and export market, especially, as I already told, we are the third largest in the world in terms of the volume. And whereas export is concerned, we are exporting or accounting for 10% of world's production demand. That's what the Indian market capabilities are, right? On top of that, we are supplying, exporting to more than 200 countries, and where the total export, if I talk about current stat, it's already crossed more than 20 billion. And this is a potential where we are catering the global market, right? And most importantly, every single dose of formulations administered worldwide, it comes from the Indian manufacturing facility. I'm sure you will be, you must have been charged up, and you feel lucky to be being to be a pharmacist and going to be part of the industry soon, where the already the industry is making the miracles, proving its best in terms of the quality and in terms of the affordability of the formulations and medicines to the patients worldwide, right? And you're going to be part of this particular, what you call victory soon. Now, I just want to touch upon a very few moment. I'm not going to have a deep dive on this drug discovery life cycle, but it's really important to know how the discovery happens, how the innovations happens, and what are the different timelines are concerned about it. Okay, in a very nutshell, if you look into this one, the drug discovery and development is absolutely a very long and risky process. No, it's not so easy or comfortable for every single company to invest and do the discovery, because first of all, the entire timeline is around 16 years, 14 to 16 years of hardcore research goes into the development, and a heavy investment of around $1 billion for the one single molecule to come into the market. So that's what is very risky, and at every phase nothing is certain what going to happen. It's again, we need to depend and rely on the facts which is coming out after the clinical observations, right? So in the drug discovery phase, if you look into, there is a pre-discovery phase happens, right? And almost 6 years, 3 to 6 years goes into the initial pre-discovery phase, as well as the preclinical studies, where almost 10,000 compounds are about to get screened. Out of that, hardly 250 goes into the clinical preclinical phase, and out of those 250, you will see that hardly 4 or 5 molecules, which is the entirety, which is not even been proved as what you call the drug, but having the potential, having the capability to cure the certain therapies. So this goes into the clinical trials, and it has a 3 phases: phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. Okay, in the phase 1, where you are addressing almost in 20 to 80 healthy volunteers about the safety of the drug, toxicity of the drug. Okay, in phase 2, where your volunteer size is around 300 healthy volunteers. Okay, where you're going to study about the toxicity as well as the safety, and basis the input and the kind of results, then you plan for the phase 3 trial, which is pretty larger. Okay, which has at least 3,000 patients. Now here you are going to test on the patients, right? And therefore it's a very risky phase, where you going to study all the parameters as per your protocol, and the kind of results supposed to be derived should be of very what you call efficacious and safe to the patient at the same time. And just so I wanted to highlight here, what you see that the current discovery for the vaccine development is happening, for especially for the treatment of COVID-19 coronavirus. This is, you'll find that few of the company already entered in phase 1, some are in phase 2, and 1 or 2 are in the phase 3 trials, right? So this is what the complete cycle has to go through it. But fortunately, entire regulatory authorities are aligned, especially on the COVID-19 vaccine development program. And you'll see that the development happening at absolutely faster track, which has not happened so far. A lot of consideration is there, right? So after the phase 3, once you generate all the data in form of the dossiers, which you submit to the regulatory authority, and regulatory authority do a lot of review into it, and there is a lot of back and forth happens with respect to questions and queries, and then industry also respond back. So it takes at least a couple of years to get the FDA review and approval. And the moment you have the approval of your drug, then you go for the large scale manufacturing and ultimately what you call the commercialization, which is, and then after there is a phase 4 comes into the picture, which is actually post marketing surveillance, right? But now, if you understand this phase, which is about 14 to 16 years timeline, almost 14 years have been gone into the development only, and all the innovators hardly get, let's say, 2 years to market the product, and therefore the cost of the drug, the innovated drug and product, are absolutely higher as compared to the generic formulation, right? So we will possibly touch upon the generic in the subsequent slide. I'm going to skip this one, because since we already touch upon the discovery different phases, right? Okay, I just wanted to highlight in this particular graph, if you look into, it is all about where you spend the earlier discovery time, and once you got the approval, you go into the commercialization of your product, right? And this middle phase, if you look into this entire graph, okay, this graph has 4 phases. I'm talking about the from the what do you call, the commercial side of it, where you introduce the product in the market. There is a growth of the the product, and it attains to the maturity in terms of the sales, and then it started slowly getting declining, okay, and then it goes vanish in the late phase. So before it goes vanish, in fact, you will see that the innovator of the same product, they might come up with a supplementary or additional modification into the formulation in certain aspect, and launch the new product, and they might get the extension to the market as a part of the exclusivity. But most of the cases, this is the phase where generic companies comes into the picture, and they start developing the formulations. They did not to spend the entire 14 years into the research. They had to do what you call BAB studies, bioavailability and bioequivalence, where you're going to compare your generic formulation versus the innovator with respect to the availability of the drug and its equivalency of the drug, okay, and then ultimately it goes into the market. So this is what you can distinguish between the innovated discovery product versus the generic product, okay. Now, if I just wanted to spare a few seconds on the generic process, how exactly, and since all of you are pursuing courses, this is really important, because you're going to be the part of the industry soon. What are the different processes are involved, or the sequence of development involved into the generics, right? So in the research and development timeline, if you look into, there is a drug selection process, then after the pre-formulation, okay, then followed by the development. So here you do what you call the different formulation trials, put it into stability studies, do what you call analytical analysis of these formulations, go get those data, compare with the your benchmark, and you find the stability of that one. You feel that certain formula is much giving the what you call better results, then you optimize that formulation, which is called a development optimization. And ultimately, once you have the optimized formula, then you go for the pilot bio batch, okay. And for that, the technology transfer has to be done in the what you call the pilot plant, or most of the cases it is directly into the production manufacturing facility, where you're going to manufacture your R&D batch equivalent to, or let's say, 1/10 size of the commercial batch, okay. So this is what the exhibit batches happens, where you then generate the stability data for these 3 exhibit batches, and this stability happens for different timeline, but officially you need to generate a 6-month stability data to file the dossiers, okay, and then you do a pivotal bio studies, okay, and ultimately basis all the data that you generated during the, let's say, 1 year to 2 years timeline of your research, you submit this dossier to the regulatory authority, and once you get the approval, ultimately it enters in the market. So this is very on top liner. This is an eagle view of the generic processes, okay, but believe me, the individual processes are actually very complex. It's not so easy to have a generic formulation of the innovator. There are a lot of research goes into it, okay, and every single department are part of this particular processes to make this product available in the market, and therefore it's very complex in nature. But I don't want to spend too much time on the individual aspect of the generics, but this is what on top liner you can see the generic processes. Right. Now, since we know the what you call the global pharma industry, we also know the Indian pharmaceutical industry as of now, and we also studied the discovery phase and generic research and development, and being a budding pharmacist who are going to be part of the pharma industry, you certainly know that which are those top 10 world's pharma company which are ruling the entire market and industry, right? If you have the visibility, then you can definitely plan your ambitions or your goal, and then you can start targeting this company as part of your career development program. Okay, so if I mean, there are a lot of parameters goes into evaluation of this ranking. Okay, and this is if you wanted to tell you, like, in the order of their positions, Pfizer stands on top one. Okay, and followed by the Novartis, where I have worked earlier also, then Roche, and then Johnson and Johnson, Sanofi, Merck, AbbVie, Amgen, GSK, and Bristol Myers Squibb. Okay, these are the world's top 10 pharma companies. This is their sales. Okay, and this ranking keep on changing basis the performance on quarterly and yearly manner in the market. Okay, now that's from the world's perspective. We should also know which are those Indian top 10 pharma companies who are ruling the market. Okay, and these are the companies from the Indian perspective. Let's talk about the 15 pharma company. Okay, Sun Pharma, based upon the what you call the their sales, okay, and their revenue generation cycle. Okay, number one is the Sun Pharma, followed by Arbindo, Lupin, Cipla, Dr. Reddy's, Zydus Cadila, Intas, Glenmark, Torrent, Mankind, Biocon, Piramal, Hokard, Davis, and these are the companies. Actually, these are the companies who are actually ruling the Indian market. As you are going to be part of the industry, you should be targeting upon these companies. So that your career is much more secure, right? Now, in terms of the trends which is happening for the research, even for the manufacturing, and how the pharma industry are doing their investment in certain therapies, which is actually market driven. Those days are gone where the investment used to happen more for what you call sake of your own satisfaction to gain the presence in certain market, right? Now every single investment of dollar is based upon the trend, where is the market is going, what are the upcoming scenarios, and how we can grow further. Okay, so if I wanted to give a top view of the total top 10 therapy areas where the entire development is going on, investment is going on, and these are the the therapies which are performing absolutely great in the market with respect to their annual sales, and also as well as the market share. Okay, so out of 10, oncology is on top of everything, which has more or less 12 to 13% of the market share sales, and around 16% to 17% of the market share. Okay, followed by the immunosuppressant drugs, sensory organs, anti-diabetic drugs, followed by the vaccines, then multiscleral therapies, MS therapies, we call it as, then antivirals, then anti-rheumatics, bronchodilators, antihypertensive. So this is what the trend. These are the therapies. These are the drugs which the company is doing betting on, in terms of research, in terms of manufacturing, and also pumping the product in the market. Now, what you have been observed as of 2020, let's say during the Corona pandemic, the entire focus, apart from this therapy area, now the entire focus have came into what you call the antiviral drugs, which is what you call the lot of formulation, even the existing molecules which has the capability to treat the virus have been used in the line of treatment of the COVID-19. If, for example, if you wanted to quote hydroxychloroquine, which is used for the which is as an anti-malarial drug used for the line of treatment, right? Similarly, what you call amoxicillin and remdesivir. Okay, these are the antiviral drugs are being used And as of now, the vaccines have taken up the entire focus. Okay, where now what you see in this particular chart, which is around 5% of sales, market sales, and hardly what you see is around 5 to 6% of the market share. Now this have taken up the larger share because most of the top companies are started doing the vaccine development program, and they are investing heavily. So here is what the future is lying all about, working on the vaccine molecules, antiviral drugs, working on the oncology. These are the upcoming what we call the element areas and therapy areas where investment is going on rapidly. Of course, rest of the therapies, as I these are coming under top 10, are performing well. And apart from this therapy, there are many other therapies and drugs which are in the market, which you use for the various line of treatment, or and they cure. So that is altogether separate story, but this takes the maximum share from the market. I hope you are with me on this particular line. Now, I want to take you to a different perspective altogether. What we saw so far, this is more of hardcore pharmaceutical research discovery, talking about the drugs, talking about the molecules, talking about the line of treatment and their presence, everything. But my friends, the trend is also changing equally. We are living in the very advanced era, the era of technology. The future is all about the digitalization, and the technology is the center of everything of our professional and the personal life. We can't live without technology, right? And therefore the industry is they work much more in advanced state to build the technologies and change the entire what you call the market in terms of the disruption. The disruption is the key for the success now, right? And I think all of us have witnessed, including today's session, which is happening digitally online, which is supposed to be happen as a physical certain, under the conference hall, but we are doing it digitally because, I mean, of course, Corona made us to do so, but actually, such kind of pandemics giving us very what you call disruptive ideas, and how we can actually use and empower these technologies where we could make the complete change in the market, right? Now, my intention to showcase this particular slide to ignite your thoughts, okay, because you are now into this stage where you're going to make your career, right? And being in 2020, which you have seen a different world in the past, and now you're going to witness, rather than saying witness, you are going to shape the totally different world, because you are sitting in the right momentum, okay? And you have the complete what do you call the power to change the phenomena in the industry and the entire segment, okay? And as we get equipped with our scientific knowledge, okay, pharmaceutical and medical knowledge, at the same time we should also equip ourselves with the technological knowledge, because these are the trend which is making a greater shift in the entire story of graph, success graph actually. If you look into the artificial intelligence is taking the central stage in the entire industry, whether it's the pharmaceutical, whether it's a medical, whether it's what you call the other sector in construction or education sector or any other sector, including the what you call the information technology. AI has the power to change complete, is actually game changer. So we should get equipped and know about this AI, and make what you call the skills in this particular area as well. Blockchain technology, okay, the next one, the blockchain technology, which is used in the what you call the production and manufacturing segment, where the masses of operation supposed to be done in the automation format, right? So this blockchain technology is making a lot of positive impact in the outcome from the manufacturing facilities, right? Similarly, the mobile technology, we can't take away the mobile from our life. This is actually a center of everything. We are 100% dependent upon the mobile and the associated technology with it. By knowingly or unknowingly, we are using the technology, okay, because we are living in the era of technology actually, okay. And of course, there are internet of things, IoT, There are a lot of innovations, a lot of development are already been done and still going on in a way to provide the what you call the solution in a on the go, on just a fingertip, using the IoT sensor base, and a lot many other areas are there actually in that segment, right? Automation, which is directly linked with the either in the production manifest or in the data manifest. Okay, so where you have this set programs where you run the entire program in the automation format and then enhance the entire productivity, whether it's a manufacturing or whether it's a research outcome. Okay, so automation is this one. Now we are living in the era of big data. So much of information, so much of data get generated in day-to-day life, whether it's the industry or whether it's the education sector or any other sector I'm talking about. The big data is being get generated. How exactly this big data as a technology is shaping the thing is that aligning, or let's say putting all those data and doing a data mining and building a smart what do you call outlook as in the form of reports, and then using existing infrastructure of data and making absolutely advanced decision making tools, using those facts, figures and information, changing the phenomena of how the industry is performing, or how the industry is doing it actually. So these are actually part of the industry on day-to-day life, right? Now this is what I wanted to touch upon you. And when it comes to the skill development actually, uh, believe me, since we come from the industry and seeing the global perspective of the entire world of the pharma, we certainly need to brush up ourselves day in and day out. It's not like that we just pursue one particular degree and everything is done. Degree is what now where you get what you call the passport to get enter into the industry, okay, or any other domain that you are keen of. So education plays a role in that way, your certain degrees, right? But now the industry also looks something else, right? And that something else is actually a skill driven interest, because industry has to be practical, has to be futuristic, and therefore all the resources, all the employees who are part of the industry and who are budding pharmacists who wanted to come and join the hands of industry, they're supposed to get equipped and skilled with the various skill associated with certain operations, right? So one should not restrict himself or herself by just what you call limiting by doing one particular what you call the degree, right? Degree is must, which I said as a passport. It will help you to get into the industry and specific domain, but we should also equip ourselves with various skills, because uh, how smart are you and how efficient are you will define your success in the coming days, right? So skill will going to make a lot of difference altogether, so you should uh, compete not with the rest of the others, but you should compete within yourself and identify what else you can improve on. Okay, and maybe possibly in the QA session, question and answer session, we can discuss we can address something more related to with the career aspect. That is what I can say at that point of time. Now I just wanted to touch upon one point. As you have seen the pharma industry, possibly visited, and possibly you heard a lot about the industry, but let me tell you, the industry has many departments, many functions, which may you or maybe you knowing it or may not be knowing it. Possibly what I understood in most of the interactions with the student, not only about this particular college, but most of the colleges and universities, student have what do you call a certain knowledge or information with them. And broadly, what they see that industry, okay, it means what you call the marketing. It could be production. It could be research. Uh, it could be operations. That's all. Nothing else comes into their mind. But let me tell you, there are at least 30 functions, more than 30 functions, which makes the part of the industry. If I start counting and dictating, you will be very surprised if you talk about within the R&D. So broadly within the R&D, there are the two main verticals: formulation and the analytical. Okay, So within the analytical segment, if you look into, so there are various what do you call the functions, like for example, pre-formulation, okay. Then there is a lab scale development, okay, prototype laboratory, okay. There is what you call the research and development of formulations. There is a process development. There is a technology transfer department, okay. There is a compliance. There is a quality assurance, quality control. There is business intelligence, okay. There is what you call analytical research and development for API, for finished formulations, okay. There is intellectual property management, regulatory affairs, medical affairs, clinical affairs, pharmacovigilance, pharmacogenomics, pharmacokinetics, DMPK, discovery, preclinical, clinical, toxicology. So many other functions are there. If I talk about from the commercial side of it, production, within the production there are many functions are there: engineering, what do you call the safety, HSE, okay, the regulatory affairs, quality assurance, quality compliance, corporate quality assurance, corporate quality compliance, okay, and so many other things, supply chain. If I just pull further and wanted to give from the marketing perspective, within the market perspective, there is what you call product development department, okay, sales, then marketing. There is what you call the business development, international marketing, domestic marketing, and so many other functions are there, okay. And on top of that, there is what you call the center of excellence, COE, center of excellence, where the pool of resources from very smart functions come together, and then they do a lot of what you call the brainstorming to build the new formulations or build the marketing strategy altogether. So there are, what I'm trying to give a picture is that apart from these all many functions, including the packaging and so many other areas, every single function is equally important and carries the equal importance in the industry, because together they make a one what you call team as a company, and they together do a development, bring the product in the market, and help the company to grow further, and also they help the patient to for their for their better health. So therefore, where you're going to enter in the industry is irrespective of the domain that you're going to be or segment that you're going to be, every single function has a greater importance, and therefore you should follow your interest and passion in that way, right? Um, with that particular note, I want to touch upon a different point of view as of now. Okay, when it comes to individual, forget about the now we have talked about and discussed about what you call the industry and so on, many other things, much more from the professional perspective, right? But as an individual, we always come across two options in our life. Okay, so your success or your failure will be depend upon the kind of option that you choose, and it's equally important to choose at right time. Okay, so the life will always give you options. Okay, it's all about you to decide which option we should go, which option is going to take you to the success path, and vice versa, right? To elaborate this particular point, let's quickly go through a very small interesting video clip. Please watch it very carefully, listen carefully. Every single word talks much louder, and it's going to make a greater impact on your thought process. Okay, let's enjoy this particular video. So believe yourself, never give up. I believe you enjoyed this particular presentation. And just on a concrete note, I would like to say that mine is just like a parachute. It works best when it is open, and I believe everyone carries a parachute. So open your parachute and then be the success story in the coming days. Thank you all for the patient listenings and giving the opportunity. I believe it was very interactive session, very useful in session, and now possibly we can open the Q&A.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for the detailed, profound explanation on the topic. I hope it is really useful to our students. Let's now move on to question answer session. One of the student has asked,
Yeah,
sir, which is the best job for introvert in pharma industry? I think
introvert.
so. Yeah,
Okay.
introvert. Yeah.
I think, yeah, I think it's a very right questions because, you'll find that some specific functions or some specific role has a certain trait. Okay. And if he knows about his, skill set and mindset and his character, and he understands the respective, what you call function, then he can make the miracle in many ways in his own career, actually, for example, this is my point of view, and he could have different versions of it. But what I see that he could be very successful in the quality assurance. This is a function, quality assurance compliance, where they have to think for the company. They have to think about the rules, regulations, SOP, protocol, documentation. What is being written in the protocol has to be followed. So in short, they are the inspector in the pharma industry, actually. Okay. So this particular, what do you call the characters, traits are much more suitable for this function which I just mentioned. So he could obviously think about the quality assurance and compliance part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Acha. So the next question is, what is the current status of production sector?
Current status of production sector.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so as I mentioned you in the discussion, like the production in the plants and manufacturing facilities have been equipped to the global standards. Okay, because anyway we are supplying the manufacturing the product and supplying to the entire world, especially in the regulated market, also US, Europe, Japan, and even the what you call ROW, rest of the world, and emerging market also. So every single pharma industry, especially the manufacturing facilities, have been equipped, upgraded it to comply with the regulatory norms, right? And there are a lot of automation have been implemented. If I just wanted to quote of an example, when I visited Australia for one of the manufacturing facility, okay, um, I was so surprised when I visited the facility. Uh, First of all, the Australia as a country altogether, their lack of resources, their population is very limited, and the resources are very limited, and therefore, when I visited the facility, I got surprised. There were very few people I used to see in the manufacturing side. The entire, what do you call, if I talk about the tablet manufacturing segment, there are many operations actually, what you call dispensing, blending, then there is what you call the compression, then coating, packing, and everything, So at least one particular technician used to handle a 4 to 5 unit operation single-handedly, and it was completely through the what you call digitally, completely automated. There was a program, there was a system in place in that facility. They used to give the command from sitting at one place, and the rest of the operation used to independently happen it, and that fellow just used to go and check. That's all, right? So what I'm trying to give you, the industry has changed drastically. The pharma manufacturing facilities have been upgraded drastically. There is an advancement of technology, automation, and big data is playing role into that. So manufacturing is, of course, if you're thinking about the production as your career, I think that will be really great for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next question. How can COVID vaccine introduced so early if clinical trials required for more individuals and time?
Exactly. So, as I taken you through what you call the standard discovery phase as a timeline. Okay, so there are a lot of processes are involved into it. A lot of phases are involved into it, right? What we have been observed during this COVID-19 pandemic, first of all, it's a pandemic, the whole world is suffering, right? And we
Yeah.
can't sit idle to simply wait for every single process takes its own shape with respect to time, and then we can have the what do you call the vaccine in the market, let's say 14 years timeline. We can't wait that's not the time as of now. It's SOAs, right? If not now, then never be. Okay, we have to look after the human being across the world in this particular planet, right? And what the industry is doing is that they have plenty of data available with them, okay, in terms of their research, in terms of they have studied the these virus. They have the existing information, existing data for the more or less similar drugs, okay, and their expertise. If you see that not every company getting into the vaccine development program because it's a very risky job for
Yeah.
scientifically as well as from the financial perspective also, right? Company can go into the drain completely because $1 billion, you can understand that, right? So hardly a few companies on fingertips are got into this vaccine development program who have the expertise, okay, who have all sorts of infrastructures, talent available within the facility, right? That's one side of it. On the other side, if I talk about the government and regulatory authorities, now being because it's a pandemic, whole system, okay, government system, regulatory authorities, and the industry have joined hands together to support this vaccine development program and bring the right vaccine at early stage in the market, okay. And therefore there are the time which used to go for too much of back and forth for getting the certain approvals or getting the kind of process involvement that have been crunched down, and regulatory authority are themselves approaching and are available 24 into 7 to support all the processes and kill the time which is goes for the review mechanism altogether, right? So for example, getting the licenses, getting the approval, getting the certain permissions, they are giving that thing, right? Now let's talk about science now, right? All the industry, I mean, the companies who are involved into the vaccine development program, including Bharat Biotech or Serums or the Cipla or the other companies, foreign companies are also involved into it. They are not compromising on the scientific development and the processes. Let me tell you that. Okay, so they have taken the what do you call the vaccines from phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. Okay, and this is the outcome. Okay, so what is actually happening in the real world is that the research is conducted parallelly, and the regulatory authority bases the information, the data have been submitted, they evaluate and review parallelly. Okay, so there is a what you call very cohesive, the relationship in terms of because it's a dual responsibility. It's not only the responsibility of the company to manufacture the drug and make it available, but it's the responsibility of the government and regulatory authority to support the entire ecosystem and make those what you call the environment susceptible for the faster development and growth of the vaccine. Okay, so therefore you see that all the companies are successfully able to take this development on faster track. This only happen when there is what you call two-way compliance and two-way what you call handshake. Okay, and what I heard from the news is that Russia
Mm.
is now claiming themselves to
Yeah.
be successfully completed phase 3, and they already got many orders from various countries to supply this drug. Okay, so but yes, there are also what you can see the counter challenge given by the US FDA and evaluating those their claims. So let's see how fast it could come in the market. As far as the Indian market, Indian industries is concerned, even the government is supporting. But let me tell you, on the practical perspective, it's a challenging task to develop the vaccine, and it will going to take its own time. It's not going to happen fortnightly. So we have to have the patience. But yes, the positive aspect is that government, regulatory authority, and the industry are working on war foot, okay, to bring the vaccine on the fastest track. That's a different story. How the cost would going to define it, whether it's going to available for the masses or not, that's altogether different story, which is more on the commercial and the operation side of it. But from the research perspective, yes, companies are working hard to make these vaccines available on faster track. Yeah,
Yes.
I hope I answered those points.
Yes. Yes. So next is what protocol should be followed according to toxicity and safety measures of drug in phase of clinical trials.
Okay, so as a thumb rule in the discovery phase itself, you actually study the different compounds, okay, which not even been proved as a drug altogether. So those compounds, let's say, I mean, earlier it was almost 20,000 or 10,000 to 20,000 compounds used to go for the screening, but um, uh, I think we should be very much thankful to the technology. Actually, there are a lot of available softwares and the programs available which have the data about the compounds, scientific data, and basis that you can decide in terms of their what you call SAR, structural activity relationship, and any other what you call the parameters. So you need not to take all 20,000 compounds or 10,000 compounds for the screening. You hardly pick, let's say, 100 or 200 compounds basis the available scientific information and data, and then you do a prototype what you call programming in the system, in the software, and then you can predict the what you call the results accordingly, right? So that's one aspect, right? From the toxicological perspective is that in the pre-discovery phase, every single compound we say as a candidate, okay, so every single candidate go for the toxicological studies, right? So there is a preclinical animal studies happens into it, okay, so animal study will define you will define the kind of toxicological path and the safety of that particular drug in that specific what you call animal, right? So you do a lot of study in the preclinical and the animal studies, right? Basis that the candidate goes to the different phase, right? And when it comes to phase one altogether, now in the so far in the previous what do you call process, it was a pre what do you call animal studies, and then what do you call preclinical studies. Now in phase one, you take this candidate in the form of formulation, certain formulation, let's say tablet, capsule, or what it may be as per the uh, drugs what do you call properties, right? So that goes for the healthy volunteers, and this is very important. The phase one is very very important, where you're going to study the molecule in the healthy volunteers. These are the volunteers just like you and me, who are volunteering to uh, conduct the studies on themselves, right? And basis the outcome, the results, right? You study whether your drug is what you call safe. Is there any kind of side effect? Is there kind of toxicological effects? Okay, so you minimize or optimize those. Most of the toxicological aspect has been covered in the animal and the preclinical study itself. Phase one give you the what you call the confidence that yes, now you are able to conduct the clinical phase one trial in the healthy volunteers. And let me tell you, it's a very risky process. There are many incidents in the past, as a history is concerned, where during the phase one clinical trial, a lot many casualties had been happened, and company has to bear that cost. Okay, so yeah, there are some drugs which give you side effect, and not only side effect, is a drastic effect, and they can take the life of the individual, or they can malfunction the certain functionality of the human being. So there is a lot of risk involved into it. But yes, as far as the safety toxicology is concerned, this is utmost importance to the innovator, and they take care of every single aspect during the phase one and the previous trials. I
Yes,
hope
sir.
I answered your question, Anam.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next is as India is a developing country, why do we are not introduced generic medicine as majority people are in poverty?
Genetic medicines already been introduced. One thing is that like there are the two aspects: the industrial aspect, and then second is the government aspect. Okay, so if I talk about the industrial aspect, industry will obviously think about the commercial side of it. Okay, and the companies who are doing the businesses, they see the what you called market size and the kind of potential it carries within those certain market, right? And the demand, as simple as the demand is concerned, right? So as a company have been manufacturing these generics and supplying to the regulated market like US, Europe. There is a great demand, so there is what you call the value for it. Okay. And when it comes to Indian market, we have the what you call the branded formulations here, right, in the domestic segment, where you get the domestic formulations for the line of treatment, right? So that's one side of it. Now, when it comes to the generic medicines, the awareness is something that we need to work on, because the country like us, having the population of more than 130 millions, okay, so making them educating them about the generic medicines, because if you look into this typically happens if you have observed in the pharmacy, like if you ask for, let's say, XYZ drug, XYZ product, okay, and the pharmacist on the counter, he's saying that this is not available, this is the alternative brand available, right? But still you fight that, no, I want that only brand, right? So there are a lot of what you call the patient compliance, I can say, issues are there. So that has to be tackled more on the government side of it. However, the recent government have been taken a lot of initiatives on the generic medicines, and a lot of great programs are there. Generic medicines as a pharmacy have been already introduced in the market, and as far as the doctor's practice are concerned, because we can't change the practices in a day, it's a history, so many years we used to do a traditional what do you call practices, writing a prescription with the brand itself, right? And the patient and the pharmacy is supposed to take those brand only, right? Now already the government had introduced to make it mandatory to IMA, Indian medical authority, to what you call association, to make doctors to mandatorily write the generic name of the company and not the brand name. Okay, so these are going to take its own time, and slowly you're going to see that I think there are a lot many companies already started the generic pharmacy as their one of the vertical, and you might have seen in the market also, right? So trend is changing, patient awareness is also coming up, and therefore the generic has it's taking what do you call the greater importance in today's world now. Yeah.
Yes, sir, correct. Next is, how can COVID vaccine discover so early if the drug development and trial require 14 years and much more time? Same kind of
Okay.
questions, sir.
I think we already
Yeah.
answered that, I guess.
Yeah. That is
Yeah.
already done. And why should doctor should not prescribe generic medicine except branded? That means they want to ask that why doctors don't prescribe generic medicine.
Right. I think that's also we recently just answered, in a few minutes before. So it's the
Yes.
doctors, it's become mandatory, it's
Hmm.
mandatory to write the drug name in the generic format, and that to be in the capital. They can't write in the cursive writing or their own, medical writing. Only
Yeah,
pharmacists can
yeah.
understand, and nobody, the layman, can understand about it. So it's become the kind of rule now to they have to prescribe and write in the generic name in the cap lock, so that every single person can understand their language, and even the patient has the choice which particular brand to take, rather than just taking a specific brand. So this certainly is happening now.
Okay,
Yeah.
sir. Next is, how to enter in industry after completion of B Farm.
Okay, I think this is a $1 million question. Every single student who is into the final year, about to finish his, graduation, post graduation, or even the PhD, and eager to get into the industry. So this is a burning topic, burning point question for everyone, actually, right? What I can say, coming from the industry, is that number one, my observation again, I might be what you call wrong, but my observation is that students are not yet very clear about their career. You know, they are expecting everything should come automatically in their door. Okay, but let me tell you, of course, the opportunity knocks the door of everyone, but not everybody gets the same kind of opportunity, right? But if you are ready enough, okay, and whenever the opportunity knocks your door, you should be able to grab those rather than once opportunity comes and then you say that, "Hey, wait, let me prepare for myself, so and then I will open the door." It can't be that way, right? So one should be absolutely ready. You have to be proactive because you are the young, you are the future of our country. Okay, you are futuristic mindset buddies, so you should be proactive enough to make your career plan very clearly. I would like to highlight here one point is that everybody has a dream. Okay, everybody dreams, in fact, and dreams are not those that you see in the night. These are the possibly just an interest. Okay, these dream are those that you are not able to sleep in the night, and the dreams make you awake in the complete your daytime also, right? So you have to have a certain passion within you. Identify first your passion, what exactly you wanted to do as an individual. See that what's the you know why you came into this particular planet. Okay, the importance of your life. You identify your passion. The moment you put passion in certain area, then you make your career plan, make your what you call a particular milestone. Okay, so when you have a what you call a date, when you have the milestone, then you get a goal, right? And then when you put a certain timeline to achieve those, I'm sure you'll be no I mean nobody in the entire world can stop you to achieve your goals, actually. Okay, so you have to be what you call futuristic, proactive, make your career plan, identify your plus points, and make your if I talk about state point to the getting the what you call career boost, then make your CV much more what do you call visible. Make your CV as per the job profile, not a standard CV which goes for every single job application. Okay, don't do that way. You have to acquire some skills apart from the your graduation, post graduation, or whatever the quantum of degree that you are pursuing it. You have to acquire some skill which is industry oriented, practical oriented. Okay, for example, regulatory affairs, intellectual property management, or let's say a research and development, analytical development, quality assurance, quality compliance, whatever may be your interest. You should acquire those skill and those knowledge. And how those can be acquired, like for example the kind of session that you are attending today, it's give you a lot of perspective, industry perspective, and open up your mind and then ignite you to think much louder in that way, right? Similarly, you could also self acquire those knowledge and then make yourself absolutely visible, ready for the industry. Because qualification and the percentage, qualification is just a passport. Okay, percentage
Yeah.
doesn't matter to the industry, let me tell you. Okay, and you will be much happy now that but of course you should score as much as you can. Okay, but industry don't look for the percentage altogether. They look for the character. Okay, they look for the attitude, they look for the skills, they look for team player kind of qualities. Okay, because you have to earlier you was alone as an individual, now you are going to be part of the certain team, so you have to be a team player. So acquire those skill set, those knowledge, soft skills, then you will be much more ready to the industry. And what you can do, being living in the world of technology and social medias, make your presence very much visible in the professional sites, for example LinkedIn. Okay, have your CV updated, make your profile in that way. Go into the naukri.com and so many other job portals, right? But LinkedIn is where you could find all the experts and the companies into the same platform, right? So you can easily grab the opportunities. And of course, I mean, you are very much fortunate that you got the faculties, such a wonderful faculties who have the visibility, and I'm sure they will help you out in taking to the next level altogether. Yeah, I hope I
Sure.
answered. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sir.
Sorry, I took a pretty longer for this particular question, but I thought I could definitely give some different perspective.
Yeah, yeah, sir. And that was a most interesting question for all the students, I suppose, because
Right.
Yeah. So next is as a pharmacist, if I have interest in clinical research study, do it is a complete different sector, or as a pharmacist student it is beneficial for my career?
Okay, a very interesting and precise question, Aditi, right?
Yeah,
So,
Aditi.
right. Aditi, thing is that if you are very inclined towards your career into the clinical affairs or let's say medical affair, then it's very good. What I can say to you is that let's say BPharmacy. BPharmacy is a foundation course, right? This course will definitely help you to get inducted into the industry. Okay. And similarly with the pharmacy, right? But in pharmacy, then you make a specialization, right? So you become expert in that particular vertical, right? So if you're very clear and you see that clinical affairs or medical affairs is your area, then I would suggest to pursue further, a course, skill-oriented course, and get more practical knowledge about it. Okay, take many projects in that particular segment, and then definitely the doors will be open for you in a greater way. Actually, okay. Um, don't what do you call BPharma is a foundation, actually. With this, you can get into any sector. I mean, in any specialization. Okay, so it's not you're not going to change your what you call course of your career path if you go into the clinical, right? Clinical has its own importance and its own way as a function, and therefore the clinical would be much more interesting for you as well if you have the right interest, that way.
Yes, sir. Actually, sometimes it happens like this, sir, in case of clinical trials or clinical studies, because the doctors are also involved there. So it is
Right.
like sometimes the question is they cannot get a higher post in those areas. That is why they think before joining it.
Okay, okay, I got your point
Yeah,
now. So,
yeah,
other thing is that, for example, if we very specific to clinical research or clinical affair as a function that you wanted to pursue, then you have the greater what do you call scope in the industry. Okay, so
yes.
industry has one division, clinical affairs. Okay, they are involved into the writing the clinical protocols, clinical monitoring, surveillance, pharmacovigilance, and all that sorts of parts come into the picture. And nowadays, not only the pharma industry, the in fact the IT companies have built a standalone healthcare vertical, okay, pharma vertical, or let's say healthcare vertical, and they are actually recruiting the pharmacy guys, B pharmacy or M pharmacy, for the clinical affair, for pharmacovigilance, what do you call clinical monitoring and observations. Okay, so scope have been now drastically increased in many ways.
Mhm.
Not only pharma, IT industries are also recruiting to you. So yeah, so I mean, you're not going to sit on doctor's seat, and not the doctor is going to sit on your area, right? So these two are totally different segment, right? Doctors has to work more on the clinical medical side of it, okay, more on the medical science perspective, right? And being you are a pharmacist working in the clinical affair department, your area would be working more on the building the protocols, building the clinical observations, doing the surveillance, taking the what do you call the post-marketing surveillance, and so many other aspects, right? So that will be your area. So nobody's going to take over anyway. Okay. So similarly, I think there are a lot of concerns who are pursuing what you call Farm D course. They have the concern like
Yeah.
if I'm doing a Farm D, I'm become a doctor in the pharmacy. Okay, and there is a clinical doctor also available who rules over. Okay, but I think as compared to the developed countries, Europe and US, Western countries, where they have the very clear distinguished factor where pharmacist is responsible for prescribing the drug. Okay, he helped the doctors responsible to diagnose the element, diagnose the issue, illness, and pharmacist then prescribes the medications, and patient has to take care of that. So that's a totally different story. India has a different story altogether, but slowly the phenomena has been changing. Those who are into the Farm D course, they are getting into the clinical setup. Okay, joining the hospitals, joining the clinical setup, and supporting the doctors. I mean, we can't say that nobody's going to overrule anyone. Everyone has a defined, a distinguished role. We can't say simply that I'm superior than you and you are superior than me. We have a different role and objectives and responsibilities. Collectively, they work together. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, sir. So next is emerging trends in industry research such as blockchain management, artificial intelligence. Are they application? Are they application based? If have to do some study on it, then how it has been carried out?
Okay, this is very interesting question, Priyanka. Uh, as I highlighted in my presentation, where I had mentioned about the different trends altogether in the industry, and this is the technology-driven trends, where the industry is also using the technology, for example, AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, automation, blockchain, and robotics, and so many other things, right? So these are the areas. But let me tell you, this is not hardcore medical or pharma scientific area. Okay, these are more driven by the IT experts, okay, who have this particular expertise in that area. But for example, if you have the interest, okay, and since you already pursuing the B Pharmacy, you have that qualification, and if you wanted to make your career in this particular segment, then you should acquire the courses for artificial intelligence, for example, or the blockchain course, right? So then you become a technocrat, medico technocrat, where you have the knowledge about the pharmacy and the entire medicines, for example, and then technology as upper hand. Then you will be right fitment for these functions in the IT company, for the healthcare vertical or pharma vertical, or as well as in the pharma industry, right? So you should pursue that one if you have that very much inclination. But more or less, as an individual, irrespective of what kind of interest is there for the within the industry or the function, one should have the at least fair foundational knowledge about this particular technology, because we are living into the technology world. We should be aware about it, in fact. So you can gain those knowledge. But yes, if you wanted to make your career in this segment, then definitely pursue your course. And this is, let me tell you, these functions is going to make a lot of great what do you call higher package as compared to the rest of the other, because IT industry needs the expert from the pharma medical background, and having the knowledge about the IT would be very right fitment and getting many opportunities in this area then. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Priyanka.
Yeah. So next is, sir, can you suggest some idea, apps or site for how to remain updated regarding our pharma industry?
Right. um Siddesh, right?
Yeah.
So Siddesh, is very simple. My message to everyone is that there are what do you call a lot of pharma news websites as well as the channels are there, including Pharma Times, Pharma Career, and so many other portals are available. If you talk about the scientific perspective, there are a lot of publications are available, okay. And if you wanted to have upper hand on what you call commercial side of it, market side of it, then go for these websites, Pharma Zone, Pharma Times, and so many other things. You just need to do a Google and you'll get everything. Okay. So the bottom line is that everyone should be updated what's happening in the segment where you are actually going to make your career, right? So you can't be blind in that area. You should get acquainted with this one. What are the different merger acquisitions that are happening? What are the different development have been done? Which are the products have been recently been launched? Which is the market growing rapidly? Which are the companies making investment in this particular area? Okay. What are the government initiatives have been done in this recent past, and what are the future lying ahead? So what you're going to make if you have certain knowledge, for example, if you're sitting in the interview board and there are so many, let's say thousands of CVs are lying over there, And your CV, if you have those skills and those knowledge, and if you highlight very correctly in your CV, because skills makes a lot of difference in your CV actually. Okay, and then when you talk in your interview board that you also know about this one, and you are well prepared before going into the specific interview for that particular company, knowing the history of the company, knowing what the company is doing, and where they are heading ahead. If you do this kind of homework and go there, you will be standing absolutely unique in the entire crowd. Okay, so you should everyone should actually make himself or herself much more um, aware and ready for any kind of challenges going to come. And let me tell you, what you are seeing so far, that's the first version. The second version, industry will teach you actually. Okay,
Mhm.
so the whole world is highly competitive. Okay, I'm not making you fear about it or worrying about it, but you should be ready enough to tackle those challenges. And the success will be with those who are ready to handle what you call a challenging task, multitasker, challenging, and who is a team player. Okay, so that soft skill has to be developed. Yeah, I hope that is
Yes,
okay,
sir.
Siddhi. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Next is, sir, which department is best in pharma industry?
um, and Ellen's. Well, from my point of view, every single department is important, because we can't say that which finger is better in our hand. All five fingers makes one palm and one hand, right? And every finger has a different features, different importance. Similarly, every single department has its own importance, its own responsibilities, and they work together. Actually. Okay, but okay, just you asked me from my own individual perspective, I can say that. Okay, although I'm very much fascinated about the research, discovery, and all that, that's what I have been into. But I felt working in PMO, a project management office, in the project management department, who works on upper hand as compared to the rest of the other functions, because the PMO has to sit together with the top management. Okay, and he has to work with the all cross-functional department. Being into the project management function, you are going to work with all single functions, all single department, right? So I felt very lucky to be part of the project management, program management. Okay, I used to work with every single function. Okay, and I felt great. So it's all again depend upon kind of your individual interest and your liking. Okay, I like to be a multitasker. I like to be working with everyone, and that's what I moved from what you call hardcore research to the more on the management side of it. Okay, so one has to take a call accordingly.
Yes, yes, correct, sir. So next is, how to start for medicine manufacturing plant.
Oh, wonderful. Who's asking that?
Dharmesh Patel is there.
Okay, so Dharmesh, thing is that if we, oh, I mean, if you are what you call, you have that entrepreneurship spirit within you, then definitely you can get into the business side of it, more into the manufacturing, or let's say service oriented or solution oriented form, right? But let me tell you, manufacturing is is not so easy. Okay, you can manufacture. Okay, you can manufacture XYZ product, set up the facility and all that, but surviving, running the facility in day out in the highly competitive world, it's much more challenging actually. Okay, um, so if you wanted to start the manufacturing facilities, of course there are a lot of what do you call regulatory norms are there that you need to follow. You need to have the your own manufacturing setup, or you can get the product manufactured from the third party in the contract manufacturing environment, and then you can run this one. So that is what I mean. Uh, you'll find where this information available. What are the different documents, process are involved for the getting the manufacturing plant ready. Okay, so but let me tell you, heavy investment is required for manufacturing setup. Okay, You can't simply manufacture with a limited budget. You have to have very high budget, and on top of that, you have to be ready with the market dynamics. Okay, so that is what I can give the suggestion. But it's good that you have the interest in that area.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
So last question.
yeah.
Uh, it is like, what should be another aim of enthusiastic pharmacist rather just going for drug discovery? What
Right.
maybe other aim should be? That will
Sure.
of course depend. Yeah.
Right, right. Of course, that will depend upon the
Hmm.
individual thought process. But as an individual, as a professional, because we are carrying two lives together. One as an individual, okay. We might have different objectives, different purpose in the life, okay. And as a professional, we might have different purpose and objectives, right? But in a way, to be very much successful, no matter what functions, department, domain, vertical that you're going to join, what is important to be successful from 360-degree perspective. Success is nothing to correlate with your kind of money that you're going to you earn, but it is kind of respect that you're going to earn in the market, in the society, right? As a pharmacist, actually, we carry a pretty larger responsibility because we are in the business of making the formulations, making the drug, making those medicines available to the patient and giving to the patient for their cure, for their a healthy life, right? And therefore, we carry a greater responsibility because any wrong drug or any wrong dose consumed by the patient will be fatal to his health, for to his life. And therefore, we have a absolutely greater responsibility, no matter what functions you will be going to be part of it, as far as you are be a part of the life sciences, medical and pharma industry altogether. Okay. uh, One should have visionary, one should be visionary enough, you should have a larger objective of your life, rather than just pursuing job or career, or just doing something for sake of doing it. You should identify within you what kind of passion that you carry. Okay, make your longer goal or your objectives. Okay, because we have that power within ourselves as an individual. We can shape and change the phenomena in the country. We can change the world altogether. Okay, and being a pharmacist, being responsible for the health of the life, we are responsible for the society and therefore the nation equally. Okay, so bring those visions into reality. Have your larger vision, larger objective, identify those what you wanted to do it. And then once you feel that this is what your passion, this is what your larger objective, then start slowly working on those areas. Make your own plans, own goal, own milestones, define some timeline to it. Okay, having just dream or having just goal is not enough, because that's just a plan, and plan never gets succeed until unless you start planning for it. Okay, so you need to have the milestone, time driven, date driven, and it has to be stuck to your mind. It has to be throughout your vision, what you wanted to do it and how you're going to achieve it. The moment you realize those and start to working in that line, automatically you'll see that your body, your mind, your entire soul, your energy start working in that line, giving all what do you call, all the solutions, all available infrastructures, and all those surroundings susceptible enough to succeed in your objectives. Okay, so have that ambition in your life. Okay, and let me tell you, every function is really important, really required for it. And I never see or think that XYZ function is not superior, or I mean not better. It's every function is better. It's really required, right? Because they are part of the chain of industry and chain of the society. Okay, so that is really important. But as an individual and professional, also carry larger objectives. You are actually in the right age where you're going to get into the make your own career and live long, not only for yourself but for the others. Okay,
Yes.
so have that visibility, clarity, and I'm sure under the leadership of Dr. Smita and the entire faculty, you will be able to get those directions time to time to shape your career also. So all the best I can say at this point of time.
Yes, sir, surely, sir. Thank you, sir, for clarifying students' question. And
Right.
I hope the students has understood now that they have to follow their passion rather than to follow their plans. Okay, so to
Exactly.
decide what is the passion will give them the correct way. So
Exactly.
I hope the students' questions are being taken and it has been clear to the students. Now I
Long
would
list
like,
of questions. Long list of
yeah,
questions, sir.
many questions, many questions.
Still,
I
if
think
we'll continue,
Yeah.
still the questions will come. But
I
it's
think
almost more
I'm
than 2 hours that you are online,
right,
and
right.
like whatever the knowledge you have or you are sharing with the students, and like the level to which you are like to up to that level you are sharing, that they will understand it very clearly.
Right. Sometimes it's very difficult, having so much of diversified knowledge and
Right, right.
information. You need to get down to the level the individual
Correct.
can
Yes,
understand.
yes,
Actually,
yes, yes.
that is
And I
something
think
different.
like students, those who have attended and those who have participated, they must have cleared their, they must have got their roadmap for the those at least those who are in the final year. They must have got the roadmap for their future, as per
Right.
your suggestions and whatever the knowledge you have shared. That it would have been like they can implement in their life for the future.
Very true. Very true. But for a moment, I felt that it's my interrogation is happening by media houses. But it's good. I'm very much lucky because it's really important that we should clear the doubts of the young minds. So I
Right,
feel
right,
I
right.
enjoyed it actually.
Yes,
So
sir.
thank you, all of you. Thank you, Shivangi ma'am, Katia sir, Upadhyay sir, Dr. Smita, and the entire faculty and the management of Ideal College of Pharmacy. And special thanks to the students for the patience listening. I hope I made up to your expectations, and hopefully we'll be in touch in the coming days as well.
Yes,
Thank you
Yeah,
all.
right. Yes, sir. Now I request my coordinator, Mr. Prashant Katiyar, sir, to deliver the vote of thanks and conclude the program. Thank you all.
Hello, good evening, everyone. And it's a very nice session, and I think most of the doubts gets clear. Uh, and for the vote of thanks, a very good evening to everyone present here on behalf of Ideal College of Pharmacy and Research Kalyan. I, Prashant Katiyar, takes great honor and privilege to deliver the vote of thanks. At first, I would like to thank today's eminent speaker, Dr. Roshan Palavar, sir, and we are really entitled with your knowledge and achievements, and your number of question and answer, and most of the knowledge part.
Thank you
And
so
I
much. Thank you so much.
and I would like to express our profound gratitude to our Joint Secretary, Adarsh Shikshan Mandal, Sri Vijay Padya, sir, for his presence in this webinar, and also for gracing this webinar with very interesting and thought-provoking address. I would like to thank our principal, Dr. Smita Thakur ma'am, for her enthusiastic support, and a special thanks to the organizing committee and staff members for support and coordination throughout the webinar. Our heartfelt thanks to our students for actual participation, and with these warm words and kind messages, we move to the end of the today's seminar. And participants, please fill feedback form, and link will be provided to the WhatsApp group and here also. Uh, and for that, you can get the certificate after filling the webinar. Means after filling the feedback form for the webinar. Thank you. Thank you all.
thank you, sir. Thank you,
Thank
Roshan
you
sir.
all.
And thanks
My
all the
pleasure.
student, participant students. Thank you so much. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Have a great day. Bye bye.